was the commentator today. I don't remember what his name is.
Oh, yeah, because it was NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I keep
and
forgetting
that's the guy. He sometimes fills in for Eurosport, but I think some of these guys are just filling in time, and they just shoot from the hip.
They have nothing to say. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God, I don't know how they do it. Okay, that's
when they switched like 3 commentating teams from on Sanremo.
Yeah. Well, do you blame them though? It's like I
don't know.
Eternal race to cover.
Matt Stevens was about ready to eat a sandwich because they were supposed to go on a commercial break, and it was where they were going to change over, and so he had like a minute. He thought he was done. It was like a minute, and then the Rob Hatch and Magnus came on like about a minute later. He's like unwrapping his sandwich. He says, "Oh, jeez, I was just about ready to eat my sandwich."
Okay, it's late. And you know what? I'm going to just go out there and say it right now. It's late because I had to go to the bathroom. Yes, I'm going to start a show by saying I had to go pod. Well, hey there. The Packfiller podcast is about to begin. You can always follow the show through Instagram, Twitter, and even Facebook if you're still into that sort of thing. The show is streamed live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific on our Packfiller Productions YouTube channel, as well as on the Podbean app. You can call the show directly from Podbean and chat along in the discussion on both platforms. Now let's get to the Packfiller podcast. And before we begin, just a reminder that we are halfway point of our Spring Club Packfiller membership drive. Act now and you can receive a full team membership at the half price. That's $60 for the entire year, people. If you count up all the perks, discounts, events, and swag, it equals out to just over $250 for just $60. Yeah, I'm an idiot. To join now, head over to packfiller.com and select Join the Club button. Act now before our Gooder box goes out, you guys. That's right. All new members, at least until we run out of glasses, receive a free pair of Gooder sunglasses with a full team membership. That's half your yearly membership right there, just for that pair of sunglasses. Big thanks to our friends at Gooder for their friendship, support, style, form, and function. Oh, and they definitely get the joke. Badass glasses for less than half of what you pay for to look like the Terminator. So let's do this. The Terminator! Or Filippo Ganna, if you paid attention to the to the coffee and comments this weekend. Hey, you know what? I'm intentionally stopping the theme. Let's just take all this in for a second. Did you guys notice that the little tech dance music intro that I played before the show? Did you guys hear any people talking in the background?
Was it you?
Yeah, maybe me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Note the silent calm in the studio and online. The smell of professionalism. The peace of knowing that the show is going to go smoothly. That's right, everybody. It's just us. The immortal words of Tiffany ring true. And Richie Cordell, by the way, I think we're alone now. That's right, the show is down to just the core 3 today. In studio with me, I should be playing the theme through all this, but I had to take it in. It was so fucking quiet. I was like, wow, I bet that's the first time the listeners have ever heard the intro. And I'm not going to blame Jack, but yeah, he's going to listen. Yeah, maybe a little bit. We love you, Jack. Welcome to the Packfiller podcast. In the studio with me is the only person I know personally who has been accused of calf doping, Mr. Paul Main.
Hi.
There's a story in there.
Yeah, there is.
There's a story, man.
I don't know if it's true, but that was rumor.
Also online in Portland, Oregon is the man who I will no longer give grief over his beverage choices, Mr. Jackson Bulger. How are you, dude?
Doing pretty well with that off-brand cola today.
Oh, nice. This came after, by the way, my ride with Paul. You and I rode this Saturday, and on the way back, we were riding through kind of the suffer miles home, you know, when your kind of legs are feeling a little bit. And you and I were talking about our past, and at one point in time, we came up with the conclusion that both of us did horrible things to ourselves, and we drank absolutely terrible beer back in the day. Mm-hmm. You know, the Bud Lights, the Budweiser, stuff like that. And I'm giving Jackson shit, and he's just 21.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give
Just
you
you
shit
wait,
anymore.
Mr. Higgins.
So I'm not going to give you crap about it anymore. I've decided that. I might tease a little bit about the Pringles you were eating before the show, but you can burn that fat off. So it's so weird not having the theme playing, but I'm not going to restart it. So, gentlemen, well, actually, we're online. We're on Podbean. We're on YouTube. We're on all those wonderful avenues and things like that. I guess I don't need to say that for the people who are already watching, but I always start the show off with the same question. Gentlemen, who's riding? Jackson Bolger, you're farthest away. You get to go first. Are you riding, and if so, how much?
Yeah, I'm riding as much as I can. As we will maybe announce later on, there's something to train for in the future. Yeah, exactly. So I've been trying to ride and do strength stuff through the Sufferfest. I did do a ride that turned out to be a bit of a flooding, and my beautiful giant shoes are still drying from Sunday. Or Saturday. Sorry. Yeah.
Your white shoes.
Thank God I had my Velo toes on.
Oh, okay. Do white shoes get mucked up in the rain? Do you have to? Do they stain? I don't know. I've never owned a pair of white cycling shoes.
Your wife
That's
won't
a
let
genuine
you.
question. She won't. She screwed it up. I have all black shoes. Do they?
Nor a
do they
white
get
belt
dirty?
or
No.
a ghetto chain.
Maybe she's trying to stop me from looking like Cousin Eddie.
Yep, that's right. Bought you a pair.
Yeah. I thought you were. That's a genuine question. Do white shoes get mucked up in the rain?
Mine haven't.
Really?
Did yours,
Yeah,
Jackson?
mine
He's
right
holding
here
them up.
still look pretty good.
No, they look. Oh God, those look brand new. Holy shit! Click those
Wipe them
together.
off right after, though.
Did you? Oh, okay. Paul, how's your riding been?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had more. We rode together Saturday, and I was going to do some hill workouts on Sunday, but I got a text when we got back from our ride. The guy who sprays my lawn and stuff says he was coming this week, and I knew I had a busy week, so I had one day to get winter cleanup and storm cleanups and get my yard in shape. Yeah.
You know how much?
But now it's behind me.
Do you know that you have to clean your lawn for the lawn person coming to
But he's
take care
spraying
of your
stuff
lawn?
on there, and it's not going to take care of. It's not going to take
What'd you have
fertilizer and stuff.
What'd you have to get rid of though? Like
Leaves.
dead grass? Oh, okay.
Leaves and pine cones and branches and
Shit.
dog shit.
Yeah.
All
There
that.
should be a spray that like dissolves dog shit, shouldn't there? Just
Yeah,
like
you'd be a millionaire if you did.
you would. Somebody
Sell a lot to France. Their streets are just. Their sidewalks are covered in shit. dog
Really?
shit. Oh yeah. Yep.
Come on, France. What the fuck's up with you guys?
That's our culture.
Yeah, well, Jesus. Me, for my bike riding, I had some recovery days earlier in the week. My little training program I put together gave me a couple days that were kind of light, and I was going to do the training. I was going to do it, I swear. But every day I came home, and I was just tired, and I'm now monitoring this Whoop data so closely that I was just like, shit, everything's all over the place. So I took the days off, and then Friday I had off. And I was fortunate enough to take advantage of the Friday, and I went out and did an LSD ride, they call those. We call them LSD rides nowadays.
Long, slow distance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, most people think LSD, they're like,
Hey, man.
let's go for a bike ride, motherfucker.
I'm just
No.
starting to peak.
Yeah. No, I did just shy of 80 on Friday, and then you and I did I'm not going to call it the Troika Loop anymore. I'm just going to call it the Paul Loop. Because every time I've had to suffer through that ride, it's been your decision to do it.
Yeah, it's not a bad. It's a good course. It's flat. There's windy. There's a few punchy hills, but I don't. It's just good to, get close to a 60-mile ride, and you can kind of wind it up a little bit on that. So
I keep thinking that it's hillier than it truly is.
No,
It's because you've got that first one right at the beginning, Thorpe, which is nobody knows what we're talking about unless you live here. But you've got that climb, and right at the offset. I mean, you're just kind of warming up, and then there's nothing really until that big steep one out of the valley.
yeah, we have rollers.
Yeah.
At a certain point. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And exposure up there. But So anyway, my mileage and Jackson's mileage, and I guess this leads us to what we talked about in the last show, and I wanted to see if anybody's kind of been doing any brainstorming or drinking and registering, which is, I think should honestly be a legitimate activity. I don't want to promote alcoholism, but there's a great way to get yourself to go do bike races if you just have a couple beers and go, fuck it, I'm doing it. Where's the credit card? I'm going to fucking do it. Has anybody found any potential events for our April 1st, I think is what I set for the deadline date, right? So that's our next show. Because that's going to be, no, we're going to do it probably the week after that. The week we're at our training camp is when we can all announce officially. But I mean, if you've got them up to this point, if you signed up for something, you can announce it now. So in other words, Jackson, do you have anything you would like to announce?
I very much do.
What's that?
I, along with someone else that I know very closely, signed up for the Belgian waffle ride coming in July, which is terrifying but very exciting.
I'm looking at Paul and he's like going, "You fucking idiots!"
It's your life.
Belgian waffle ride. Yes, I am the other idiot who's doing it with you. 138, right, Jay?
In and around that, yeah.
138 miles, about 12,000 feet of climbing, and it says Belgian waffle ride, and it makes it sound like we're all just going to be like, doodle-doo-doo-doo. It's not.
I will say it's a very confusing event, too, because it's such a mixture of terrain with 90 miles being road and the rest being gravel. You don't know what to pick.
Yeah. It's almost, so I haven't even begun to think about equipment and things like that. But that was my initial, it was St. Patrick's Day, and I'm just scrolling through my phone, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what the Belgian waffle ride's like. And it's like registration's open. And I go, okay. And so I clicked on it, and next thing I knew, I was at the pay box. You know, it was like, okay, do you want to spend $250 on this ride? And I was like,
Jesus,
are you shitting me? I thought there would be some sort of a waiting list or a lottery or something like that. So, and I was drinking, thanks to our sponsor, Athletic Brewing Company Stout. I wasn't hammered. I wasn't doing anything stupid. I was following the rules. And I just hit purchase, and it went through. And I was like, because these events now, Jackson, tell me if I'm wrong, or people online, if you're listening on Podbean or anywhere, talk to me. Am I overreacting for being surprised that this event had openings?
Well, I was pretty shocked because the stature of Belgian waffle ride to me would expect some sort of lottery. I mean, you and I tried to get into Rooted Vermont. And
denied.
Unfortunately, that didn't work because of a lottery system. So I was expecting, like your experience with Leadville, I was expecting this to be a lottery because of how big of a ride/race it is. But we're in, so I'm gonna take it.
I keep waiting for somebody to come online and go like, "Oh, you guys, you got scammed." It's the Belgian waffle ride didn't open registration. You guys are idiots, and you know
that's why you sent your payment to Indonesia.
I probably did. Yeah, so we're doing that. That's on the calendar for July 17th. I think in and around the San Diego area. I'm anxious to see what the course is like and things like that. Have you Paul? Have you signed up for anything yet?
No,
or you
no
just
skin
got
in
them on
any
the calendar?
games, but I have them on the calendar. And I have, of course, grab a drink. Tour de Bloom, which is in September.
I have that down.
And there's
I'm going to do that.
Heavy whispers of the
Careless
Omnium
Whispers?
here. And so that would be two.
There is in that, and I know a guy who is on an email list. That's me. Who they're potentially changing their weekend for that River City Omnium, but I'm not going to say that out loud on the show.
Like sooner or later?
Sooner, earlier in the summer, but only by like a couple weeks.
That's fine.
But yeah, they're looking to do that. That's our Spokane River City Omnium, right? Mm-hmm. And it's state championships.
Was going to be last year, but I don't know if they've got that. And maybe that's why they're changing it. Maybe they got
Road race
that.
and crit, I think. It
Was it was supposed to be last year.
Is the road race going to be the same
Liberty School?
gravel?
No.
No.
The Liberty
No dirt.
School one. No
Oh,
dirt.
just road.
Yeah.
Okay. Tour de Bloom.
There's a
Spokane.
railroad track you have to cross.
There is. Can I have change tires?
Yeah.
Tires? And after the first Mojo show, I do want to say this, and Jackson, I don't know if you said you tuned into that show. They're doing a Midnight Century the first weekend in August, which is the same time as the Spokane Midnight Century, but they're going to do their own, which is going to be a lot more gravel-based, and it doesn't have 80 or 90 people breaking all traffic laws in downtown Spokane. So, I don't know, I'm thinking about leaning towards that, even though it's not really an event. It's just a group ride. I can't count that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. I won't count.
Yeah, if you're not paying money to get in, that's...
Yeah.
Are you paying money?
No.
Yeah.
So it's got to be money.
Yeah.
It's got to be money. Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
don't you think? You have to have some skin in the game. That's true commitment to something. It'd be easy to say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I could say, I'm going to do a training ride with Jack. We're going to ride 100 miles. That's basically the same thing.
I won't buy it because Jack won't ride 100 miles.
I know. That's why I selected him. And it won't happen. Oh, I tried, but Jack didn't show up.
Jack wasn't there.
He sent me to the wrong coffee shop.
Which he's getting really good at.
Yeah.
On to that motherfucker. So those could potentially be my three right there. If I were to do, because I am doing Belgian Waffle, it's the Spokane River. Is it River City?
River City.
What's it called? Yeah. And then the Tour de Bloom. We already drank once, but yeah. Jackson putting up his cola brand cola. I didn't make fun. I made fun of your drink. God damn it! I can't stop doing it.
It's just like a tick.
Yeah, it is. It is. But with COVID restrictions potentially changing, does anybody have any thoughts on earlier races happening? Have you guys heard anything, or especially the people at home, Texas or something like that? I'm not monitoring the YouTube feed, but I'd be interested to hear if anybody's having any restrictions lifted at this point in time. Have you guys heard anything?
No, I know Montana's still going to do their Rocky Mountain Roubaix, but you know what day that falls in because you made a comment on Facebook. I
did,
to the organizers. Yeah,
I'm a happily married man, and I love the guys, and they're doing their race on Mother's Day, and I said to him later on, I said, "You guys, man, thanks for putting on a race. And that is so awesome. I probably am in one of the types of marriages that would allow me to go race, but." The bed would be a little colder that night, I think. So I don't know if I'm going to do it.
I've got a story about my Mother's Day massacre.
I remember. Yeah. That's where we called it, the Mother's Day massacre.
Yeah.
I remember that one
I'm
well.
not going to cross that bridge.
No. So, Jackson, have you heard of any events happening in your area that's going to be coming up or anything like that?
I don't know if this is for sure. It could have been on an old calendar, but there's like an Oregon or Portland bicycle website here where they have their race calendar and they do Portland Raceway here. They have like some criteriums that's supposed to start April 19th.
Shit.
So that seems like it's real. I mean, I know that vaccine rollouts are happening at a different pace here than they are in Washington. So maybe that could help.
Dude, I can't wait to get feedback from you racing over there and seeing what it's like, things like that. It'd be cool.
I'm nervous about it, but it'll be good.
Hey, they pedal their bike the same way we do, left, right. If you guys were to race in April, which is now 2 weeks away, how would you feel fitness-wise in terms of preparation? Paul laughed, so Paul gets to go first. Paul
I'm
giggled.
way off the mark.
Really?
Oh yeah. I have no recovery. I've not done any interval stuff. Yeah, I'd be wasting money entering a race. Yeah.
Not even pulling a Peter Sagan style and just doing them to get in shape.
Yeah, that's an expensive way to get in shape.
It is an expensive way
yeah.
to get in shape. Yeah.
I don't have that type of money.
Yeah. Jackson, how are you feeling?
I'd feel somewhat confident. I mean, I think the main part that I'd have a difficulty with would just be getting into the race mindset. I haven't raced in obviously quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my only trepidation. But fitness-wise, I think I could probably hang.
See, my dipsticks are based off of people I ride with, and if Paul's like, "No, I'm way out of shape," I'm like, "Fuck!" Then I'm barely holding on to you, so I'm even worse.
Depends
out
on
of
your
shape.
event.
Yeah,
I'm not doing the Belgian
breakfast, right?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I might have to start calling it that.
Yeah.
I am, but the thing about it is I'm sitting here planning, and I'm going to probably talk about this later on in the. Yeah, I am going to talk. So I'll skip to it. So I also want to get the lay of the land here in terms of, because I'm. I am putting together this series of races for us for the Packfiller series, and for all the subscribers and things like that, for races for them to do. And I would love to get this input here before I secure dates, before I secure locations and stuff like that. Originally, the idea was to come up with a weeknight series. Okay, like either Tuesdays. No, but Tuesdays used to be our road series. Wednesday is when some friends of mine put on a mountain bike series, and so I'm sitting here going, okay, maybe I go with Thursdays or whatever. Somebody even mentioned Mondays, whatever that is. And then as the COVID restrictions are starting to play around and starting to lift a little bit, I've been thinking about the concept of taking the series, and instead of doing it every single week, do 2 weeknights a month and then 1 weekend race a month. But my question here is, and I just genuine feedback from you guys, weeknight versus weekend racing, the pros and the cons of being able to just get off work, go to a race, do the race, go home. You're home for the weekend. You can clean the dog shit and the leaves out of your yard, or you can go to Johnny's soccer tournament for the weekend, or whatever it may be. You can celebrate Mother's Day, heaven forbid, right? But and then there's the weekend racing, which is what, Paul, you and I grew up on. It's the travel to the race, it's the experience, it's the get ready, it's the whole day, it's those types of things. So just putting my feelers out there, and if anybody wants to chime in and even text it into our Podbean Live chat room, I am looking at that too. Weekend versus weeknights. What are your thoughts?
I think if you look like locally, our Twilight series, it's a hit and miss with the numbers.
Sure.
It depends. Once you get deep into the summer, especially when you get towards July, people are trying to get family vacations and the numbers go down. Everybody's anxious in April and May to do stuff. But weekends, like you said, soccer tournaments, that's another thing where sometimes I'm surprised, like you mentioned, we grew up on weekend. I mean, everything was stopped. I mean, I blocked that weekend out because there's a bike race. Yeah. And that's the way it is. Now I guess that's a reflection of the age of the people that are racing bikes. They've got to go to Johnny's soccer
tournaments. Yeah.
Or a Jackson soccer tournament.
Whoops. Yeah. Sorry. They're too close to home, man.
I find that a weekend kind of creates more of an event. You know what I mean?
True.
Not to say that these aren't events in their own right, but I see that in a weekend setting, in a lot of cases, like families can make something out of it. Kind of like Paul, you were saying, like you block that out and then you can kind of make a time out of it. And also, right now, when was the last time that Johnny had a soccer tournament? Because they can't be together. So I think right now they're going to be like, oh, we get to see you race with other human beings and not cartoons, then why don't we make something out of it? So I think either a weekday or a weeknight. I like the weeknight because it kind of gets people together after work and they get to blow off a little steam at just go full out at a race. But yeah, there's obviously pros and cons to what you just mentioned, but I'm just happy that we're thinking about racing. I know that probably didn't help in the feedback, but
well, no,
I think he makes a very good point. Weekends are more formal. You better put on a really organized. People are going to expect a lot. They sacrifice their weekend for this,
sure.
So it better be spot on. or that's what they're looking forward to. On the weekend, it's like, crap, I got to run there, do the race. More casual. I think depends on what you're looking for, or environment, and maybe a weekday to be low key. And if you're building this, get to move up to the weekends. I mean, I never thought of it the way Jackson. I think that's brilliant. That's
part
exactly
of me's at the point where no, and I understand. And one of my questions was going to be in terms of, let's say COVID restrictions were still in effect. The weeknight race is the plan, unless we can do mass starts. If we can do mass starts, that'll change everything. But if we can't do mass starts, the weeknight format is going to be a course, be it anywhere from whatever mileage it is, but it has to be done in a shorter amount of time because it's a weeknight, right? But it was going to be in a solo 2-person or 4-person TT format. If COVID restrictions are still in effect, and then the weekends, would you still go to a race on the weekend if it was a weeknight type of a format, a shorter distance, a TT style of a format? Or like you're saying, does a weekend race have to be a 45-minute crit minimum to start, or an hour crit, or I don't know.
I think if you do a weekend, in the current condition, I wouldn't travel if things were kind of like up in the air. To do a race, I'd do it locally. What the hell? I mean, I'm here, but I'm not going to go to the west side when it's there's restrictions, and I can have just as much fun here and not spend $500 going over for a place to stay and gas. So
sure. What I'm contemplating here is, and this is, by the way, if you're listening to this live, great. If you're not listening to this live and you have the feedback to us, well, to me, chime in on our Facebook groups on things like that, and let me know what you think. The concept that I'm working around with right now is a June, July, and August series. Every month you have 2 weeknight races and 1 weekend race. That is, and the goal is that the weeknight races, if we have mass start, the weeknight races consist of I'm leaning heavily towards gravel. Sorry, Paul. I'm leaning heavily towards gravel to start this out because I know I can gain access to trails and things like that especially on a weeknight basis, sure. And secure anywhere from 7 to 15 mile loop. You're doing that 1, 2, 3 times, or if it's a shorter loop, you're doing it on a timed event like you would in a circuit race. Okay, everybody, your race is 45 minutes plus 1 lap or something like that. If it's a 3-mile loop or something like that. No, not that. It'd be shorter than that, obviously. But those are the things. And then on the weekends, I was planning on actually establishing either a gravel-based or a road-based crit format, where it is mass start, it is races in categories, it is all that type of stuff. I think it'd be fun to mix it up and have some on the road and some on the gravel, and go from there. The final, if I can get security and I can make sure we can do it and we can get the roads and things like that, I think it would be fucking fun to do a road course where we have separate sections timed someday. Like a Fondo, but individual sections are timed, and you do them as a team time trial. You would do it with 4 other guys or 3 other guys, and you go out there and it's like, okay, we can soft pedal if we want, or we can do the whole course as hard as we want. Is this sounding appealing? And I want the listeners and I want you guys to chime in and let me know what you think of these things as we go, because I don't want to put on an event that nobody wants to do. Mm-hmm. And especially for our members who are coming for free and things like that, I want them to have something that's worth it. Jay, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I think I find it interesting, especially with the different formats and surface variations. I think it makes it a type of race series where you don't really know what to expect next, and you have to have all types of skill sets to be able to perform to the ability that you want. And I don't know if there are a lot of things like that are out there at the moment, especially in the time trial format. Obviously, if we were in the perfect world, we could do a mass start format. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a different format than what we've seen, and I'd do it. I know that.
All right. There we go. I'm putting it into the hands of the listeners too, to tell me what you guys think, because I've got to secure the dates, and it's got to happen soon. It's a June, July, and August series. If you live within the realm of Spokane racing, chime in. So I'm not going to spend the whole show talking about this, because obviously people don't all live in Spokane. Other things that are coming up, I've had a couple people online and a couple of the members asking me about watch parties, about watching bike races as a group. Could you imagine that someday? Oh my God, people.
Yeah.
Would you or do you go someplace to watch races? Anybody here? I watch them in my living room, usually by myself, or my wife will watch it with me if it's in the evening or something like that. Paul, I know you get up and you have to crack it on. You watch it.
Mm-hmm. But I'd watch again if it was a delayed thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't invite members of Packfiller to join me in my basement. My wife would divorce me. And you know... And not only that, I'm usually in my underwear with my hand down my pants, and no one wants to see that.
Well,
you know,
there's a visual for us right there.
Yeah.
But do you sometimes have Dismount over to watch?
Yeah,
races,
yeah,
right?
he comes over. Yeah. CP's came over a couple of times. Yeah. You know, but we got to keep it down to a dull roar, because my wife's in bed at 4:00 in the morning, and she doesn't like to hear.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, she hears us going, oh, you know.
It's an attack. Ah! Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jackson, have you probably don't, but you know, other than because you're trapped in your apartment on lockdown, more or less, but because you're school. But would you go someplace to watch races if it were like, let's say there was a public venue or someplace? Would you go someplace to sit in a pub and watch the race, even if by yourself?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think it also, having a community around a bike race and being able to watch it in excitement with other people is something that would be kind of exciting. Like you said, I sit in my apartment and watch it. But yeah, it'd be an interesting change of watching venue to have other people to watch a bike race with. I've only really watched one with you, Dad, so it'd be fun.
I think it'd be interesting, and I'm not talking about, suddenly I'm going to go like, hey, we're going to open a bar and everybody's going to come watch bike races with us. But I think it'd be interesting to, if there were some locations that you could say that would say, okay, we're going to air the repeat of Milan-San Remo 3 times on Saturday, or twice on Saturday and twice on Sunday. If you haven't watched it, it starts at this time, and we're gonna, not Milan-San Remo. It's hard to say Milan-San Remo because that's like 8 hours of drinking. Yeah. But I think it'd be kind of interesting for some places to
actually had Benedito's Pizza, which is like a block away from my house.
Yeah.
Chris Bennett has been very nice, and back in the day where we had tape delay before Flow Bikes was involved in GNC and in NBC Gold, it was broadcasted later in the day. I asked Chris if I could, basically take a section, and he turned the TV on to just bike racing.
Wow.
And we had like 10, 15 people
show
up. Yeah. Eating pizza, drinking his beer, and it was all there. And, so, you can find probably some establishment, but how we hook that up to their system now, because the NBC Gold, they're all premium packages, so you can't carry that to a restaurant.
You wonder if you could, somebody could bring in their laptop and just stream it to the device or something,
or even
like
my
that.
Apple TV.
Yeah,
and figure it out that way.
I think that'd be really cool for communities to do. Just because, especially now, my God, we're all desperately needing to speak with other people. And you know what? I was, one of my questions was going to be asking about, well, what if you were in an online group and you could discuss with them, or heaven fucking forbid a Zoom call or something like that. I don't know if I would. I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't participate in a online chat group or a Zoom call or something like that if it's
while the race is going on.
Yeah.
No, I had too focused.
Well,
to me, the format would be great if you had an establishment, you could watch it.
Yeah.
And then you could do a podcast afterwards, people's reactions, do a show based on that. I mean, I think that would be a great idea. So you would set it up the time like, we're starting the show. I mean, it's 4 hours long, a coverage. Yeah. We'll start there. Come whenever you want, and then there's a show afterwards.
Broadcast finishes at 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God!
There you go.
Hey, if you have a lot of money and you're listening to this podcast, send it here, and you will always get free beer for life. Free Belgian beer. We're not fucking around.
That's right.
We'll give you the imported, not just the domestic. I think it'd be cool. I would love to be able to have a place to go and watch bike races.
Yeah, and even if you don't own one, it's just finding somebody.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
to be willing to do that serves. There's somebody comes in mind that's moving. It's got a new place up here. You know very well.
Yeah, exactly.
There's coffee, and he soon will be doing beer and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
I wonder if there'd be something.
Their meeting rooms or something like that, if they'd be willing to do something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. There's Jackson, any closing comments on places to go and watch bike races?
Another thing I thought about was, and this could actually work in the time of now, is getting permission from the city and broadcasting it in a park.
That would be cool. I don't know if legally you can. Well, if you don't charge, you could do that, I guess,
Alcohol would be a problem.
Alcohol would,
and it would be a problem for me because because I couldn't have any in a
to kind of go
park.
The same in that kind of a situation.
But I like that. I like that idea, though.
All right. Should we get to the weekend in the news? Yes, we should get to the weekend in the news. Hey, everybody. Oh my God, here we are. And in case you didn't notice, the bike racing season is really, really, I mean it this time, upon us. The Power Trio fails, ? Is my headline for the first story. As I wait for the jingle to end. In case you guys didn't know, Mr. Jasper Stuyven held off the sprinters in the Via Roma to win Milan-San Remo. Spoiler alert. After making a brave attack in the final 2 kilometers. He got a gap. Soren Krag Andersen came across to him, but Stuyven kicked it again in the final 100 meters to hold off the chasers and win with his arms in the air. Caleb Ewan. Actually, I want to just say that again. Caleb fucking Ewan just failed to catch him on the line and finished second with Wout van Aert, third. Peter Sagan, fourth. You know what? Peter Sagan, fourth period. What's on my mind? And Mathieu van der Poel, fifth. So my questions are: first of all, is Milan-San Remo a boring race? I guess that's my first question. Is it a boring race? Because I hear so many comments on both sides of it. Jay, you want to go for it? It's a long fucking race. It's 300K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the fact that GCN did the whole thing, I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't watch it. And Paul, I could imagine that you might have watched something close to the entire thing.
Pretty close. I had 4 hours into it.
But I would find a whole 6 hours of bike racing, a sport in which I am quite passionate about, to be rather boring. I found the last few, 20, 30 kilometers to be pretty entertaining, but I fast forwarded through the rest of it.
My Whoop strand actually detected a nap during Milan-San Remo.
For me, that is a traditional race. It's long. There's some great stories, and Alfredo Binda?
Alfredo Binda?
No. It's Christoph. Gosh, what is his first name?
Alexander
Christ? No. Old guy. There's a great story.
Oh, shit. You got me on that one.
Oh, God.
We keep looking on
the
chat.
He's the one that got kicked out of the tour for forging his own forks when they broke back in the day, back in the 20s.
Alfredo Binda?
Alfredo. No, it was Christoph.
Did I say Alfredo Binda already?
Yes, you did. So, anyway.
I don't drink a lot of beer anymore.
it was an unbelievable story. There's one, if you want to listen to a podcast, it's called Recycle, and they do just history, which most people aren't interested in, but it's fantastic little podcast. But anyway, the history is that long. The thing is I remember Bob Roll one time, his first race, he pulled up to Sean Yates, and he goes, what's the key to this race? He goes, start eating and don't stop.
Yeah.
It's all about attrition to get to that point. If you don't, that's part of this race, and it's kind of going back to the traditional 400-kilometer, stages they had in the Tour. I mean, all these older races. Yes. What's it now? Not Dirty Kansas, but whatever it's called now.
Unbound.
Gravel. Yeah. So those things are basically what these races were back then. They were on gravel roads. They were a battle of attrition, that type of thing. So I don't want to see that go away. Yeah, it's not exciting. But the last 30K, you see who's been, and I don't think Vanderpool really fueled up properly. That's right. And there's a couple other things too. He didn't get himself in a position, but
any more white leg warmers?
White
Jack
shorts.
Comment on that.
Yeah,
white shorts and white leg warmers. Jackson's shaking his head.
It's just wrong. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it's not exciting. It's not the most exciting monument by any means.
It's. I love watching the field just come apart though, in those final 20, 30K. And you can't get that without a 300-kilometer race. And it's just like you said, it is just a war of attrition. And then they finally get there, and it's just you just watch people just destroy themselves. Poggio and the Cipressa are not huge climbs, but they are flying up those things after 270, 280K. That's just impressive. How about some of the surprises here, gang? Stuyven, Sagan, Caleb Ewan's climbing. Anything that really caught you where you went, what the fuck? Oh my God, this is great bike racing. Anything that popped into your heads? I'm gonna say it. I was the whole time Caleb Ewan on the Poggio. I was constantly saying, no way, no way, no way. No way. He's the second wheel on this climb, and people are attacking. Alaphilippe he exploded on that climb, and Caleb Ewan was holding that tempo. I thought that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, remember he pulled out of the Torino Andretico early. He was in that. So I don't know. He probably had decent rest. Those who, you look at. Van Aert and all those who did the race, like they were a little bit on the raggy side. Wout said that he just made a bad calculation, and tactic-wise, but he had the gas. But he was surprised everybody was still on their wheels over the Poggio. So, I mean, there was a lot of guys.
Big group.
Yeah. When I saw Caleb Ewan think about an attack, I was thinking he was feeling good on that day. And Dan Lloyd said it today in a show that I watched, that I bet you Lotto Soudal right now is going, if we just had one rider to chase down Stuyven, we would have had it. Because Ewan's not going to do it himself. Then he screws his chances. If they had one more, they could have done it.
Did anybody pick Ewing?
Oh, that's right. Should we get straight to the results of how everything turned out? I believe I picked Quinn Simmons. I think I picked Matthew Vanderpool. And I can't remember who my third pick was. All I know, it was nobody who was near the front. Jackson, do you remember your picks?
I think I had Alaphilippe, Vanderpool, and Sagan.
That's a close, not bad.
Not bad, just off the podium. Paul,
I had Sam Bennett.
Who'd you pick? Sam Bennett. Yeah.
And then Wout. Yeah. He took the long way around because he was trying to. He picked Vanderpool's wheel and he came apart. He could have probably would have gone on Caleb Ewing's wheel.
Who wouldn't have picked Caleb Ewing?
Then Caleb Ewing. I picked.
And you picked Caleb Ewing. Yeah. So Paul, you walked away with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to win that. I don't know. Are we keeping points? I don't think we're keeping points.
No.
We're just having
bragging
fun with
rights.
it. Does anybody have any discussion or thoughts on Ineos' tactic? A lot of the haters have been bashing them online over the last 24, 48 hours, talking about the fact that they went right to the front of the Cipressa, and I think they were on the base of the Poggio, correct?
Yeah.
4 guys at the front, Filippo Ganna, all those guys just absolutely setting a huge high tempo, and they came away with a donut hole. They came away with shit. And Pidcock was up there doing things. A lot of naysayers giving him a hard time. Do you say, hey, I'd rather to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? Or do you say, dude, rethink your tactics?
I think that, I'm happy that they're now willing to attack rather than kind of just sit in and see what happens.
Sure.
So good for them for going to the front and going for it. I also think, and don't get me wrong, they know what they're doing, obviously, but I think there's still a team that's trying to figure out how to do this whole classics racing thing. Tom Pidcock is he's kind of their main one that they're going for. Kwiatkowski's obviously there as well, but
Yeah.
they're such, in the past, from my perspective at least, they've been such a Grand Tour team that I wonder if they're still kind of trying to figure out how to know that they have possible classics winners at this point.
Yeah. When it was Kwiatkowski was with Sky when he won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they have done it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Brad Wiggins trying for some Paris-Roubaix victories back in his final years of racing, so things like that. But no, I see what you mean. They kind of built this formula around this Grand Tour type of a concept, and God knows it's worked. But
Well, they didn't have a sprinter. I could see the logic behind that. They had Pidcock and they had Kwiatkowski.
yeah,
And, those guys are going to be big finishers. So that you put Ghana up there, mashing out 800 watts for however long.
yeah.
They did. They lost. There was a big pack of people when they started, and they lost. Sam Bennett came unglued at that point. Yeah, they're probably trying to get rid of some of the sprinters. The problem is that Mikhail Kwiatkowski couldn't cash in. He didn't have the legs. Pidcock, I think, is a little fresh. You could see his a little bit, maybe, I think his attack on the downhill on the Poggio was, he did a very good ride, and I think he was trying to create separation on the technicality of it. And, he had gaps.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is he was on rim brakes.
What?
Yeah, not disc. And I don't know how he was
number 4. What? Yeah.
So, but I think I don't know if Pidcock was trying to separate more or whether he was trying to break away. That's not,
Yeah.
I don't understand. That's the part that was a little questionable about it. But
I guess when it comes down to it, you play your card, and worst case scenario, you thin the herd out a little bit, and you have a greater chance.
Yeah, there were sprinters in there. You had Caleb Ewing. You had Sam Bennett. You got it. You can't sit there and think, we're going to win the sprint.
Yeah,
you've got to do something. So they did.
We got to shed. These
and what
guys.
are they known for?
Yeah,
and they had a huge representation. They had a good group of guys there, strong guys.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
I always love the last. You know what? Every time I walk away from Milan-San Remo, though, I'm always like, "Oh God, that was a good race." And I've forgotten about the 2 hours of great nap that I had beforehand, and it was awesome. It was really nice. I miss kind of lying in bed and just kind of listening to the announcers, even though I wasn't in bed. I was on the couch. Second story, and I'm going to go through this one quickly because I don't want to cause any rage or tears. Paris-Roubaix maybe. Doubts surrounding the running of the Paris-Roubaix this spring have increased after local politicians strongly suggested the races could not go ahead in the current COVID-19 pandemic in France. Men's race and the inaugural edition of the women's race were postponed last spring and then canceled entirely due to restrictions to the tune of the rescheduled October dates, you guys. But similar scenario seems to be increasingly likely as case numbers continue to rise in France and lockdown measures are imposed. My main question for this entire story is, Paul, are you going to be okay?
No, I'm not gonna. Been a 2-year drought if that happens.
Shit.
It's terrible. I heard also they're looking at the success that Flanders Classic is having with keeping people off the road, and maybe the French government says we don't have that type of control with our people.
Well,
it could be.
They don't clean up after their dogs either, apparently.
They don't, and they have a huge history of protest.
Yeah,
So they don't really listen to their government all the time. So I can see that hesitation a little bit. There is kickback on over there that we don't always see on several countries about having lockdown. They're not happy. I know in Germany I've heard from Renee's aunt, and Holland's Netherlands are having problems too with people just rebelling big time. And
Idaho.
Yeah. They're not as densely populated. And they don't live in Idaho. They don't live in like 900 square foot apartment.
Sure.
So
that's what makes Idaho dumber.
Yeah. Well,
I'm saying this to you, Idaho. A lot of you guys are fucking idiots. But most of you, the people who I know, are all wonderful people. But there are a lot of fucking idiots over there. Yeah. So it's just, it staggers the mind. So, no, I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Would you support a postponement? Would you be...
I leave it up to the government. If they don't feel it's safe, why argue? I don't want to see it. I'm not going to poo-poo it if they do. It would be a bummer, but their country, they can do. That's their culture. That's what they get to deal with.
Okay, I'm gonna cut my last news story talking about the wolf pack being potentially endangered because apparently Patrick Lefevre is looking for sponsors, and Bora Hansgrohe actually offered to buy the entire team in order to gain access to Remco Evenepoel. I shit you not. Yeah. Yeah,
I heard that.
Actually willing to buy the whole team.
Yeah.
Hey, if we just buy everybody and keep Remco, can you all just go fuck off?
And Bora said that's BS.
Yeah,
they said that's
buy it with Sagan's salary.
Yeah.
Well, Sagan's at the end of this year. Is it? This is his last year with them.
Oh, really?
On contract.
Shit.
So
maybe he'll be on Wolfpack.
Yeah. Well, it's Lefebvre has always been at this point. He has money in the bank though.
Yeah.
He budgets that team. So.
He claims he's in dire straits, so trying to find a new sponsor, and he's got so many guys on contract who are needing, guaranteed that there's going to be a sponsor.
Let him play his game.
Mm-hmm. He's been doing it. I mean, I couldn't imagine a world without a Patrick Lefevre team.
No,
that's just wrong. Mm-hmm. But I guess all good things will. Excuse me, beer burp, come to an end. So, speaking of end, we're going to the end of the news, and we're going on to our topic brought to you by our friends at Giant Bicycles. Get over to your local Giant dealer. Check out the offerings that are available. And I know some of you are laughing, going, available. There are some bikes out there, you guys. Friends don't let friends buy bikes online. Don't do it. Get fitted. Get the right bike. Get to your Giant dealer. While you're at it, check out the great products and lines of helmets, shoes, and accessories that Giant also offers. Jackson held up his white, shiny Giant shoes earlier that didn't obviously hold the dirt, so they look pretty damn good. You guys, with the new season arriving and many exciting prospects on the calendar, I thought it'd be interesting to have a discussion. You guys don't even know what I was going to talk about training. And I brought this up before, but I kind of want to see how things are going, especially in the times like this where our year is so entirely fucked up. And I know that each of us are probably on a different plan, especially since we're talking about these Belgian waffle rides with 140 miles and 12,000 miles of climbing versus being ready for an Omnium stage race and things like that, and how to get the best out of all possible worlds. So first of all, I'd like to ask you guys flat out: are any of you following a specific plan of sorts? I mean, is there okay? Are your weeks, your months, or your days planned out at all in advance? Paul, he's laughing at me. He's got this look on his face.
I do have a plan. It's Paul Main Ride When You Can.
Really?
Plan. Yeah. Well, and I know I after all these years, I know what it takes to get there. At my age, there is. I mean, when you do it for 30-some years, 30-plus years, you got this little base that kind of you can. I'm still in the base part, just getting mileage and not cramping after a hard 60-mile effort, So once that's through, you start doing intervals. I mean, that's how I do it. I mean, I'm not trying to make money. I do want to do well, and
Sure,
and I can tweak it here and there. But I also have a life, and that's a part of cycling I think is cool. Is because for the rest of my life I can do this. You can't do that with any other sport. You know, you can do rec soccer or whatever. It's different. It's just you know, that's what's so unique about it. So
I didn't even think about it that way, you know, in terms of, because I constantly think about, okay, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, sure, but if I can't hold the wheels, am I still racing? You know what I'm saying?
That's why there's age groups.
Well,
that's what you start playing with that.
Okay. Jackson, do you plan out anything in advance, or are you just kind of going, what's my window of openings right now? I'm a senior in college. What the hell are you asking me this for?
Well, short answer, kind of. My real answer is that I look at my schedule usually when I register for classes, and I find the days that are going to be best for me in the week, because if you're just riding on the weekends, what I found out is that's not necessarily good enough if you want to ride 138 miles or race. And so for instance, this semester, I choose Tuesdays and Thursdays. I only have one class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I also will either do Fridays, which ends early, or a Saturday or a Sunday, something like that. So I don't necessarily plan out what I'm going to do. Luckily, I have kind of the flexibility of two bikes in riding distance of the places that I want to go. For instance, right now, on that rainy ride, I wore out my rear rim brakes so badly that I have to ride my gravel bike until I get new pads. So
your pads are shot on your road bike?
What?
You wore out your pads on your road bike?
Yeah, I was going down a pretty steep descent, and rainy and grimy. They really wore out pretty quick. So, I gotta figure that out. But yeah, I have a little bit of flexibility, which is kind of nice, and trying to do what I can, especially with that on the horizon.
Yeah. What is an optimal training week? Actually, I got to answer myself. I keep forgetting that. Yes, I should answer these questions myself. I plan out almost every week in advance. I have been writing down training plans on scratch pieces of paper since I was 15 years old. I've been writing Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and I plan out a month. Okay, it's not specific, but I say, okay, Mondays and Fridays I'm gonna rest. Tuesdays I'm planning on doing, depending on what time it is a year, I'm gonna do this style of a workout. Wednesday I'm gonna do this. Thursday I'm gonna do this. Saturday I want to do distances. Sundays, I'm gonna take an option because of, like you said, I have a life. Mm-hmm. But I have been writing up small little training programs. I'm sure they've been coming out in the laundry for decades. Just that are lying around in my pockets on scratch pieces of paper. Been doing it forever. I need that structure. I need to know what I'm going to do, because if I don't focus on what I need to do this week, I won't do it. I'll find something else. I can't go into like, for example, earlier last week I thought, okay, I got Friday off. I want to do a long ride. Nobody's going to be able to really ride with me, so I'm gonna just go out and do a super long ride. I want to do between 80 and 100, and I did 78. But anyway, but I have to plan that out in advance. Always have. I'm maybe type A about this type of stuff, but it's always been something I've done. Do you guys have an ideal week? If, like, right now, if you're able to ride as many times as you possibly could, what would be an ideal training week? Jackson?
That's tough. Christ, I'd like to ride every day, but weather permitting and responsibilities, I think a good one would be probably Tuesday through Friday for me. I'd love to be able to do that, but
really, not weekends.
I think if I have a free weekend, for instance, if we don't have anything going on or stuff like that, I like to have a good time on the weekends. Not like get super drunk and party, obviously, but I like to be able to have the whole day to be open sometimes, because it's just with such a busy schedule, it's kind of nice, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talking to some people who say like I was talking to a coworker of mine who's also on the team and stuff like that. He and I were chatting about the fact that he has an easier time getting out on weekdays than he does on weekends because his wife's work schedule is more. She works in the evenings, late afternoons and evenings, and he comes home and there's nobody there. So that's when he goes home and he gets out and rides. His weekends, he says he wants to spend that family time, you know, and I guess there are parents out there who probably have the soccer kids and things like that. I can't imagine being a competitive cyclist and not training on the weekends.
Yeah, and for me, it's the weekends are the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, if even when I was raising the kids, or even now, the sooner I can ride, the better. I mean, like it's not uncommon for me to roll out of bed at 6 and then hit the pavement by 7, and then I'm home 11 o'clock, and the wife unit is not upset because we still have the whole day.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, her weekends are a slow process, a slow burn up to ready to go. So that's just my sacrifice. For me, if I had to do like the perfect would be one solid day, a good hard day, middle of the week, and then my weekends. And then back when I was commuting, that's all I did. I had like a race day on the weekday, and then weekends races or hard rides on the weekends, and then commute the other days. And that was it. So fairly easy on all the others.
How do you know when you're ready to race? How do you guys have any sense? I mean, Jackson, you're probably not 100% in tune to all this by now, but I mean, is there a time when you can go out, you can tackle a segment, you can do something, you can go, yep, ready to go. And this is obviously Strava helps with this kind of stuff. You're looking at PRs or something like that, but is there a moment when you go, yep, I'm ready to go?
I think I was being a little modest when we were talking earlier, but I think I just got that on Saturday or Friday. Saturday was that time when it really clicked for me. I was able to get a KOM that I've been wanting to get by my house, and I was climbing up. I was climbing up a pretty like 16% grade, and I was feeling myself getting a little faster than I'd usually been. So there's kind of those times when I feel that I can like make an effort that I couldn't previously, that I think I really start to feel it.
Paul?
Yeah, I guess for me would be recovery, what I can tell, because I always push. For my weakness are hills, and punchy hills I like. I try and push it. No matter my fitness, it's over the top, and always try to extend a good, like at least a 30-second after, after that peak, and see how I recovering on the bike. That's my gauge. I know that the more I train later in the year, obviously my speed picks up. But recovery to me in a race is a huge thing. And there's a tack. If I can't recover, it's over. I'm not going to, even if I bridge and somebody attacks again, you can always position yourself. You can fake your fitness, but when there's a true gap, that recovery is so vital. And that's where interval works.
Yeah.
So important.
You do a good amount of that. One of my things was going to be asking about like special workouts or stuff like that. I know you do, for example, you do some motor pacing, and I don't know, a lot of people are going, wait, who motor paces anymore? Because it's hard to get the people and the time and the legality to do that. You're not sure I can go in traffic and hop behind a truck, but it's not really.
Well, we live in a great city where 5 minutes, 10 minutes are out on country roads, and
And your wife still has the scooter?
Yep, she has a scooter.
Yeah.
Little 50cc.
Yeah.
And it's just fast enough for me that, we're plugging along at 35 miles an hour, and I'll do sprints, come back, sprint, come back.
Yeah.
Hook on.
Great.
Then go have a coffee afterwards.
Yeah. How about mental preparation? Does any of you guys take any specific mental training, or is it just like, fuck it, got to be hard enough to do this? Do you guys do anything like that? Any kind of visualization? You guys are both laughing. Yeah, I could see. I'm the only one who can see both of your faces at the same time. You're like, Jesus, Pat, why don't you tell us this fucking group hug?
I was going to say, Christ, being a college student in and of itself is a pretty good mental preparation.
Sure.
Talk about always having to be locked in. Jesus Christ.
Paul, I talked to you about my personal experience of going from a guy who used to go to a start line up, and my intention was to win the race. I spent a lot of years doing that. And I'm not saying that to sound like a cocky asshole, but that was my mentality for so many years. And then I stopped racing for a long time, came back to the sport, and did well for a while. But then I lost fitness and things like that. And by the way, losing it is the hardest thing in the fucking world to get it back. And now I'm starting at start lines, going up to with the mentality of, I hope I finish. I hope I'm with these guys at the front, or I hope I hope I can see them, or I hope I am the word I named my entire fucking company after, and I've got to work on that mentality. And I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think you started at a time, you have a lot of natural ability, and I never did. I don't have that natural ability, but for me, it's losing was always my inspiration to continue on.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, how can I do better? I mean, I look at what did I do wrong there? Did I pick the wrong wheel, or did I attack in the wrong corner, and what direction did I position myself? I mean, that's a part of cycling that really floats my boat. I love that, and I love watching a pro bike racing, and I like doing research if I'm going to do a race, especially if it's a race that I don't know. Looking at the maps and creating this, strategy that I have to do, and you don't always get it right, and that's a strange thing about cycling, is that even the greatest don't win all that much, that you really don't, and you gotta accept your defeats, because you'll lose way more than you'll win, and if you're winning a lot, then you're in the wrong category. There's always another level. There's always another level.
That's perfectly stated.
It's the truth. That's the wonder of the sport.
Yeah. Jackson, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything like that, but in terms of preparation, in terms of racing, in terms of advancement of how you've been going on the bike, are there any dreams of achievement in the sport? Do you aspire to a level, or do you or is it just I just love participating? What keeps you going? What are the aspirations? What's in your brain?
You want my real dream? What would be super cool? What I think would be really cool would be able to be a representative for a bunch of different brands, be able to take all these things to different places and compete in these different areas. Obviously, I'm a 21-year-old cyclist getting a theater degree. So
all the world's a stage, my son.
Yeah,
all the world is a stage. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that'd be pretty cool. But I think at the moment where I'd like to be is a place where I can be competitive with other people in my area. I am such a competitive person. Everything about me screams competition. And I just, wherever I can kind of get that, I think is something that kind of keeps me going. I don't know whether I'm answering your question or not, but that's kind of what's kind of getting my heart racing right now.
Paul, what keeps you going? And I don't mean this to sound as horrible as it's going to sound, but the competition keeps getting younger.
Yeah, it does.
And you and I were talking about some people we want to compete against, and I remember at one point in time in the ride this weekend, you mentioned, I don't know if I necessarily am going to beat them, but I'm still going to keep trying, and and I want to be that fly in the ointment or something might be in terms of that. But
be the Jesper Stuyven that attacks the 2 kilometers while everybody's watching each other. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you have to do when you don't have the talent of your competitors. You have to use your mind, and that's the enjoyment for me in cycling, and that's what keeps me going. I'm sure there's going to be a point where I'm not even going to be able to hang on. But hopefully at my age group, when it gets to serious races, I'll race my age group, and that's another thing. And to me, even this is how far I push it. Even the races that I did win, I still assess them, and I don't really. I think I could have done better. I could have done this better, or I should have done that. I was lucky that didn't happen, because I kind of let go a little bit, and I was, those are the things that keep me going. I mean, it's if I have any success, it's not perfection, and that's what strives. You get complacent, especially in this sport. I mean, you're done. You're not gonna like to race. I mean, that's whether it's winning or I don't want to get any more fit or I'm tired of training.
Sure.
Whatever. But this is, it's a growth. You'll never ever accomplish your best, I don't think, in the sport.
And that's so interesting, especially, and I hate referring back to the Mojo Diaries show, is talking to some guys who are in it for just the love of riding. Mm-hmm. And then to talk to, you guys who we all have this competitive outlet where I know there's the love of riding. There's 1,000% the love of riding involved, because if it wasn't, you'd be playing golf or we'd be doing something else, something that didn't require so much fucking time, or so much money or something like that. Jesus Christ, a pair of running shoes, $200 and I'm done. And there are fun runs everywhere, So, there's that love of the bike, but there's also that desire, that need for that competitive element, and it's just interesting hearing the two. And I call out some of the Mojo guys, and I'll say this on the show. I call out a little bullshit too, because I know for a fact that sure, when you're riding a climb side by side with one of those guys, they're going to pedal a little harder so they don't get dropped, or you don't drop, or they drop you. That's come on, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh well, I really enjoyed that show. I listened to it, and it really, I don't know about you, Jackson, but for me it was like, I'm glad there's other people that are not like me that are into bicycles. I really think it's so cool, and like what Josh kept saying about, it's about comfort, man. It's about being comfort. Yeah. It's comfortable, and to me it's like, what I like about riding my bike is when I'm not comfortable, when I'm in pain, and I'm on the engine. It's just that huge, 180-degree difference, and it's so cool that we still have something that's similar. It's a bike, So,
I think something that was very interesting speaking of that episode is when Josh was saying that the comfort of it, or like how we've been on a Mojo ride and they don't necessarily worry about the speed, which is something that in my mind I'm really thinking about right now. Is while yes, I say that I kind of lean towards every aspect of the sport in a way, but like when I'm on my gravel bike, I think speed, really? which probably puts me towards more of that roady, racy type of gravel rider than just the go out and explore type of rider. It's very interesting, like Paul, like you just said, to see the different aspects of it, because there need to be people out there that are not like us.
Sure, yeah. Do you guys, and I ask this constantly, do you guys write down or take note of any specific goals? Like at the end of the 2021 season, I would like to have done blank, blank, and blank. Didn't you guys do that?
No.
Even mentally?
No.
Really?
I know where I need to be fitness-wise, and I don't want to put any pressure on myself to get there. I want to. I mean, I do everything I can, but I'm not going to sacrifice my life to get there. And I've been there before.
Sure.
And that's how I'm on my second wife. So I've learned my lesson. Although my wife reels me back a couple of times.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and at my age, I'm not going to sacrifice my grandkids, not seeing my grandkids on the weekend. I mean, I try and schedule things that are for me when it's not the least amount of interference. So,
but you're not thinking to yourself, at the end of the season, I would like to say I got a top 10 at Tour de Bloom drink. But, you don't have any left. But
I got a little bit here.
You don't think about in terms of like that?
No, because that's my mindset going into it, not towards the end. It's like, no, I'm going to go as far like Tour de Bloom.
I think we should just say it once and then call it a drink, a blanket. Yeah.
To me, it's, I am going to attack that at every moment. I mean, how I'm going to approach each stage of that, to get the highest, what suits me to get the highest GC ranking. Sure. If it's first, that's great, because that's my ultimate goal. But there is
a goal, though.
Yeah, ultimate goal is the highest place that I feel personally that I am going to be able to achieve, and that's through my training. And I have to be realistic. There's better riders than I am, so I have to outsmart them and make that right choice at a moment where I can catch them off guard. Okay. That's the only way. So that's. Wow. I have to be realistic.
Jackson, do you have anything? I mean, we've got the elder version, and we've got the young and vibrant and energetic version, which I think is. I love pitting you guys, not pitting you guys, but hearing the difference in thoughts and in terms of what's going on. Do you have anything where you were like, at the end of 2021 season, I want to walk away with blank, blank, and blank, or do you just kind of go, fuck it, let's see what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, since my passion has really bloomed into like the full flower of what it is today, it's only been like 2 or 3 years, if we're being really honest about it. So sure. I haven't really had like a set schedule of it. So I haven't gone into a specific season thinking I'm going to win this, and this. I will say, ever since I got that win in the mountain bike series, yeah. I want it all now. That's the tough thing about being my age, is I think I'm invincible. So I think I can go into every single event and go, I'm going to win it, 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 which is obviously not the truth.
It's a great mentality. I've been trying to find it for about 18 years now. So I'm glad you have it. Keep it.
Yeah, so I think I don't necessarily have an expectation. I more have a want to win everything, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. It's interesting. I mean, because, it almost sounds like I'm talking to a couple guys who aren't necessarily. My initial topic was in terms of training, and it's almost like you guys aren't thinking about it in terms of training. It is because it's a part of the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's not like, okay, I am specifically searching for this objective. It's like, no, I want to be a bike racer all year round.
Yep.
That's the difference, and that's okay. That's interesting. Very cool. Okay, you guys, with 1 hour and 16 minutes into the show, hey, guess what time it is, you guys? It's time for Watch This with Professor Paul Main. Epic movie theme. And you guys, Watch This is now officially sponsored, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Scratch Labs. Not only great hydration, but great ideas. I personally powered through my long rides this weekend thanks to paying attention to leftover rice and a page out of one of their great cookbooks. I shit you not, you guys. Scratch sells these cookbooks, Feed Zone Portables, one of the best cookbooks every cyclist should have in their arsenal. And I shit you not. You know what? You should almost give it as a housewarming gift. Or when somebody gets a bike, if they plan on riding over 50 miles, they should get the Feed Zone Portables book. Great read, great book, and great recipes within there. I just did it with, like I said, leftover rice and a couple different ingredients. I did like fucking peanut butter and jelly. Mm-hmm. And the things saved my ass on that 80-miler. Check them out at scratchlabs.com. So, Paul Main.
Yes, sir.
Choice of the week this week was a completely out of the blue choice that I never expected from you. And if you are, by the way, a member of Packfiller, we always release it to them first on the super secret probation Packfiller Facebook page. 2020 Criterium highlights from Corey Williams of Legion. How do I start this? Do I ask the reason why you chose it, or do we all provide our input for it? What do you think?
I think on this one, maybe I'll start the lead on that. Yeah. To me, those two, Corey and Justin, have done a fantastic job of promoting their job. What they really want to do, they're setting out to promote cycling in the U.S. and crit racing, as we've talked in the last couple of episodes. We think that's where. In America, it's
the savior.
Yeah. So I've followed Justin way back. I bet you about 6 years ago, maybe. when GoPro, and I remember thinking, who's that dork I was catching anything on
They
YouTube?
both wear them super on the back of their helmets, which you have to because
Yeah.
your head's down,
But it's actually, of all the shots, those are the best shots
Yep.
are off the helmet.
Yeah.
You can see when he's looking left and right and that type of thing. And
I'll be mounting one soon.
yeah,
Not on my fucking handlebar.
it might fall off. Yeah.
My baby.
Oh, my baby. So, to me, we were talking about motivation.
Yeah.
My palms sweat through that whole thing when they're in races and everything, getting in position, the attacks, and you can see all that. And it's a little bit of a homage to what those guys. I want people to see what these guys really are trying to do, and I think they're doing a splendid job. But crit racing in the U.S., I feel like I'm in the crit.
Yeah.
And I know I've been in those situations where it is just, you hear people screaming, bumping, brakes grinding, crashing, all that, and you have to think. You don't have time to think. You react. Everything's a reaction when
Sure.
it comes to a crit, and they do a fantastic job of teamwork. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Jackson, any initial thoughts that you brought out of that one? And by the way, you guys, these are all over the place, and like I said, they're on our Facebook page. Find them and find these links and watch them. I try to get them posted before every show so you can take them. This one was a 5-minute watch. Jay, sorry.
No, I came off of watching the second American Crit, so I was already in that kind of
crit mode.
I was already in that mode. But yeah, so I think what they do for the sport, especially with inclusivity, I think is really cool. And I don't know if you saw their new kit launch recently with the brand new Ferrari. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think those guys are unstoppable in terms of just the results that they pick up, and they're just really cool people all around. So I found it to be a really cool perspective, especially being inside of the race, because I've never been at that level, at that speed, in like those tight of quarters when they're going around those corners, and they're actually leaning over the sidewalk, but their wheels are still on the pavement. That freaked me out so bad, because I just see myself taking the whole field out right in that moment.
Just one stray pedal. Okay, pedal now. Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Several things I noticed. Number one is, by the way, it's funny, Jackson, you mentioned a couple minutes ago about your dream endeavor of representing these things and representing the sport. And these guys have done it. They've found their angle. Mm-hmm. They are two fast fucking guys who love racing crits, and they have capitalized on that, and they have created their own brand, their own style, and it's finally coming to fruition for those guys. And like we've been saying, this could be what could make bike racing big again, in this country. And I think it's really cool watching them do that. Some of the things I noticed, however, is some of these races look like they've taken place, are like our Buck Knives crit. They look like it just like in an office park out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so they do like the northern, that NorCal.
Yeah.
They have a race course. There's actually a NorCal channel, and this guy does. They go into a business parking lot
on a Sunday,
and you can see parked cars and stuff that's just kind of closed down a little bit, and they race. It's like unsanctioned, but
going from American crit to it's unsanctioned, is it?
I think so. Some of those races in NorCal.
Some of them, looking around, and you look going from American Crit 2, which is like Tulsa Tough, and then looking at some of these not abandoned, but empty office parks on a Sunday, it actually I don't know why that was one of the first things I saw. I was like, oh my God, okay, there are normal bike races. There are not races that require 100,000 people all over the, watching bands, music, people going crazy, drunk people running up and down the roads naked, but it doesn't require that. And, I guess I get intimidated with the delusions of grandeur. So that's one thing I know. Second one is riders all over the place. Man, there were riders just peeling off at really weird fucking times. And how you were saying the reactionary element of the sport is so vital, because it was, Jesus Christ, I'm going, these guys are like Cat 1s and they're
pros.
They're riding like freaking idiots sometimes.
They're doing it at 32 miles an hour.
Yeah. And I've never been a fan of intentional bumping, headbutts and stuff like that. And that shit makes me nervous. Somebody did that to me, I'd be the first to tell them to fuck off. I would. I'd be like, what the fuck you doing? But I guess, when you're in the final K and somebody bumps you and you don't want to take your hands off the bars, sometimes your head is the only way to do it.
There's a culture in crit racing, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is a hierarchy, and you don't push around some of those people. You got to figure out another way around. You don't start fudging your way into a pace line. That's not going to be tolerated. You're going to get a headbutt. Yeah. That's the way this is raced. It's a different creature. It's not going up to Wes at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah,
we would do it at 10. But
this is 35, 40 miles an hour at high speed, and
exactly. And everything's on a razor's edge. Everything,
like some of the fuckers who I don't know if you guys are listening. Well, hopefully you're listening. Why would you not be listening if it was going through your headphones or something like that? When I don't know if any of you guys out there have had somebody. I've been actually seen somebody point in the pace line to where they want me to let them in. Like I'm on my teammate's wheel, and some guy would be backing off, and he'd point at my teammate's wheel and start coming over. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't give it to him.
And then he'd yell at me, "Hey, man,
he has
fuck
no right."
off!
Yeah,
this isn't how this shit works. We went to a stage race in Montana, and I remember they were doing that. And I know some of you guys are going, well, Montana, but it was people were all over the place. Were pointing at the gap at the wheel they wanted. I'm like going, cool. I can point too. I can point at a fucking idiot and point right back at you. It just, I never understood it. Does that happen to everybody else? These are questions I'm just throwing out.
I think in the lower categories, I've seen people do that. Or sometimes if it's not a pressure situation, I would never. But if I'm trying to work in, I'll kind of look at the guy like, can I get in? Yeah. And if he says no, then no.
No, you keep going, yeah.
But in a crit, you can't. You give up an inch, you're done.
Yeah.
You fight every single, second of 60 minutes, just fighting and fighting just for a position. And if you slack off once, you're back 30 places just like that. So
it was a really cool selection. I like that one. I mean, I love the longer ones. I think the longest one you've done is like 15 minutes, even though American Crit was.
I know my audience attention span is pretty short.
They'll listen to an hour and a half a 90-minute podcast. Are any of us potential crit riders? Jack is the guy who wants to be a crit rider.
I would love to, but I think we had this talk on Saturday that I just don't shoot the gaps like I used to. I've got a collarbone that's still not attached. That's on my body. There's, I still have to go to work, and I'm 58. Who am I kidding? But I do enjoy racing, and if I'm in a group that's bumping and stuff, I got to get out of there. I'm not going to win a pack sprint. That's plain and simple. So my intentions are a different level. So I'll be an attacker or a tail gunner. Yeah. So
Jackson, do all these movies make you want to be a crit rider more, or just like, fuck it, I'm gonna suffer on the gravel?
I think. That's kind of all that's happening right now. Crit racing is like the easiest to put on. So I think if there's some sort of race, I'll show up to it. But I think like Paul, I think I'm more gonna put in a big attack on like a punchy climb and get some sort of result out of that than I am going into a pack sprint. I don't know if I have the same power output as somebody like who can just fly at the 200-meter line.
Okay. I don't know. It's going to be a fun season. I think one of my main things that I forgot to mention myself for training this year is, I'm going to train for that 138 miles. But when I'm not doing endurance, my main objective is speed and power. I just really want to work on those two things because I want to be engaged in those types of events. When the attacks are going, like you said, I want to fuck things up. I want to be a fly in the ointment at least. So All right. There we go, you guys. So Paul, do you got something for us for next week?
I do. And it's a little changing of gears. It's, as I talked about strategy and everything, there's a guy named Cosmo Catalano. Have you ever seen this guy?
No,
How the race
Cosmo,
was won?
I thought it was Kramer.
No.
But yeah.
That's his I don't know if that's his real name or that's his persona, but for years he used to do this thing, how the race was won.
yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
So he's back on, and Cycling Tips actually sponsors him, and he has a video out about Milan San Remo. And he points out some things that I think are brilliant. Like, see, this is what happens, or look at the position
Sure.
here, or
Okay.
and he'll stop and he'll put, but he adds a little bit of humor in there, and so you get like the circle of like, that type of thing.
Dry.
And he's very creative with his words too. So yeah, it's pretty good. So
Okay.
mhm.
So that's
how the
what we're
race
looking
is
for next.
won. Yeah, for Milan San Remo.
This most recent Milan
Yep.
San Remo.
Mhm.
All right.
I'll send you the link.
Jackson, you got anything going on? When are we going to get some ride videos from you?
Yeah, this week was rough because it rained about 45,000 inches this week. So this week will be different. Like I said, probably from a gravel aspect. So you'll see some new terrain. But yeah, hopefully, or not hopefully, this week we will be seeing that.
Well, be careful when it rains that much. You can on rim brakes. You can go through brake pads.
Yeah.
And just so give you a heads
You
up.
know, that's the hard way.
Hey, everybody, like, follow, tell friends, and tell me what you guys think of the new Coffee and Comments. I played around with it this last week and kind of tried to go with a little bit more of a interesting format there, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We're going to have, hopefully, little blurbs from multiple characters, and when I say characters, I'm pointing to the people on this podcast and things like that, and hopefully we'll have little voice segments from those guys in and out throughout the Coffee and Comments. That happens every Sunday. Join Club Packfiller. You guys, new members won't be allowed once the events arrive. Did I say that? New members won't be allowed once the events arrive, because I'm giving the members the bonus of actually not having to pay for the events we're promoting. You may be able to buy a season pass for the events, but you won't get all the great swag and all the area discounts and all the sponsor discounts that we're offering throughout the year. So think about that. Our biggest push ends at the end of April. There we are. If you are Jack, get your shit together, buddy, because we're coming to your house in April, and that's going to be a video probably that might end up with one of us in jail.
That's why Jackson's not going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid.
He's
He's
gotta
got his whole life
finish.
ahead of us. Yeah, exactly. All right, that does it for another episode of the Packfiller. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow us on Podbean. You don't have to sign up for anything on Podbean, and you can listen to the show live. Thanks for those of you guys who did. I guess that's it. Jackson's probably got rehearsal in about 20 minutes, so we will.
Not tonight.
Oh, not tonight. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. We'll catch you next week. That's done. I've got to cut off the YouTube.